hey there, and welcome to another episode of the After Hours podcast. I am really excited to be joined once again by Susannah Sprague. And when I was, looking for somebody to have on for Friday the 13th episode, because this will air on Friday the 13th, I was like, you know what? I couldn't think of a better person to have on, because Friday the 13th, number one, like you and I are in kind of like a horror movie together, so there's
Yes.
that aspect. However, what a lot of people don't know, unless they're maybe like into like spirituality and things like that, is that Friday the 13th is actually the day of the goddess.
Yeah.
Like the number 13, it's been the number of the goddess for centuries, before, all the systems kind of took that away. In fact, people like humanity actually ran on a 13-month calendar before the Gregorian calendar took over, basically to promote like constant rushing and productivity and taxes. And there's just a whole messy history behind that. And the 13-month year was also all the months were 28 days long, which also is in sync with women's cycles.
Yeah. And the moon and everything.
Yeah, and everything. So
Everything.
yeah, exactly. And Friday is like the day of the goddess too. Goddess Freya, Goddess Frigg, who are also the goddesses of fertility, creativity, and and that's what the feminine is.
Yeah.
And and you have been posting. I know we were briefly chatting via text a little bit earlier today. You said you're taking a break from social media. However, you've been posting just some really good, really poignant stuff that I hope people can like take away from, and maybe kind of plant some seeds. So like what have you been up to since last time we talked? Because I know you've last time we talked you just won a fitness competition. I mean, you're like killing it. So what have you been up to?
Yeah, it's funny how life does that, right? You got these highs and then you get lows, right? And November was definitely a high. Getting into my, being in my fitness mode and competition mode. That's just like one little angle of me, one little of the slivers of the mirror on the disco ball, like competitive bodybuilder. And that was November. And then, last year being the year of the wood snake, I'd done some studying on, well, what does that mean? And it's a 9 year also, and 9 is is completion, and there's chapters that complete, there's stages that complete, there's relationships that end, and it makes sense that a completion year would also coincide with a snake year, which is all about the shedding of what you can't carry with you forward. A snake can't keep its skin. It outgrows it, so it lets it go. And last year was a lot of outgrowing things, spiritually, physically, emotionally, outgrowing old versions of myself, old relationships, old dynamics. And it probably like kind of right after we had our episode, it hit me like a ton of bricks. 'Cause that the end of the snake year is really where things start shedding quickly. And some of the bigger things or the heavier things or the darker things start to they shed towards the end. We're not even totally at the end yet. We still have like another week.
Not until February 17th. That's when we enter the year of the Firehorse.
Exactly. So since I saw you last, I took the cue from the universe and said, all right, I have to go inward on this one. Having a social media where I do post things, and that's very outward, right? That's me taking what's inside me and sharing it, putting it out. I needed to call some of that energy back and go back inside me, because there was, just painful things that I was going through, and taking that hiatus, because social media for me is this double-edged sword. I love it, but it can also, and I use it to be creative, but
Yeah.
it can also trigger inside me a very isolated, distracted kind of habit pattern
Mhm.
where I'm using it more as an escape or as a way to numb out, which I don't think
Right.
is unusual. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But I'm somebody who's, periodically takes breaks from it just because I'm like,
Mhm.
well, let me just see. Let me just see what happens
Mhm.
if I delete it off my phone. And there's a period when you first delete it off your phone where you
Mhm.
go to use it. And then you're
Yeah.
like, wait, I am not using it. And you have to kind of break this habit that if you use social media like I do,
Mhm.
I think about it, pick up my phone and just start looking.
Yeah.
When you when you on purpose stop doing that, it's a little like clunky because you go to
Right.
pick up your phone. Anyway, so you go through that period, and but that doesn't last for very long, and then all of a sudden now you have a lot more time. And I
Mhm.
needed to give myself actual time to feel the things that I was feeling. These were things that I was not going to be able to run away from them. I was not going
Right.
to be able to box them up and hope to get to them later, because
Mhm.
that's really the point of a snake year. That's really the point of a
Yeah.
9 year, is to acknowledge, sift through, walk through, feel all of that.
Yeah.
And it kind of all culminated, and December was a difficult month. I mean, very for
Mhm.
me. And I felt
Yeah.
very alone and very isolated and sad and heavy. Oh, it was
Yeah.
so heavy. And I had a death in the family,
Oh, no. Yeah.
stuff going on with my children. Then
Uh-huh.
then the world is weird on
Right.
top of all of that. And then and also looking for, looking for real, like work I can get into that I can be passionate about.
Yeah.
And I was trying to make things happen, and getting a lot of resistance from the universe.
Right.
And
Oh,
I was like,
yeah, we've all been there.
yeah, so I was like, maybe I need to take my foot off the gas here a little bit and actually just
Yeah.
slow down. And I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of meditation. I did a lot of audiobook listening. I did a lot of walking. And I
Yeah.
did a lot of things by myself to be
Mhm.
myself and
Yeah.
see what is going to come to the surface. And some very icky things to feel came to the surface. And it
Yeah.
wasn't something that wasn't something I was certainly wasn't gonna post about that
Oh, yeah.
mid
Some things don't really need to be posted about, you know? Yeah.
I'd much rather share that I survived it, and on the
Yeah.
other side, I've learned and I've grown and I've
Mhm.
evolved as a
Yeah.
result. But I don't think I'm alone in going through
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff at all.
No.
But it definitely felt very lonely, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really, like, that's really interesting that you say that because, like, the Year of the Snake was also, I think and I'm going through probably the biggest shed right now, like at the tail end of it.
Mhm.
But it's all for the better good, I think, because at the end of the day, you kind of journey back to yourself. And, and because in the year coming, the year of the Firehorse, I mean, it's going to be like full speed ahead. So, you want to be carrying as little baggage with you as possible, and not that everything's going to be smooth sailing, um but I think all of the important shedding was done, like all of last year, doing the year of like the wooden snake. And and I was, and the thing is, it's like, because I know, because then 2024 was like the year of the dragon, and that was kind of like the breaking down of like structures and all that stuff. And I felt that definitely, because I had my ankle injury in 2024, and I was doing, but it kind of needed to be done because, at the time when it first happened, it was like, it was terrible, but like, but at the end of it, it really gave me time to just kind of sit with myself. It took me out of like, doing things that weren't quite in alignment with me and everything. And it really made me assess, okay, you know what? I'm not really doing what I'm passionate about.
Mm.
What I feel, I'm trying to force myself into this mold over here, and I'm out of alignment. And now my ankle's literally out of alignment.
Out of alignment. Yes. Yes. I
So
know, because it manifests into the
yeah,
physical. Right.
yeah. And, and the thing is, it's like, you know, because I know, and I don't want to be insensitive, because I know, like, people are kind of, when you talk about things like fitness and weight loss and all that stuff, people can be sensitive. But, that also really made me, like, kind of dial in like, I am seeing more results from my fitness and what I'm doing right now than
Yeah.
I was before.
Mm.
And it's so interesting that happened, because it's almost like I was being stubborn, so my body was being stubborn. And when I let that go, and it's like, okay, like the physical manifested itself as something that wasn't so, like, because that's where I felt resistance in one place. I
Mm.
felt resistance in other areas of my life too. But 2024 for me, like, was the beginning of kind of like that restructuring and really returning to myself. And, like, how was 2024, like, the year of the dragon? Like, what was that for you, as far
Yeah.
as, the difference between, like, the year of the dragon versus the year of the
Yeah.
snake?
I think 2024, that's where the red flags started to show themselves.
Yeah.
And I noticed in retrospect that the red flags I did not pay attention to in 2024
Yeah.
were painful to lose and have stripped away or to shed in 2025. But
Right.
they were things that were coming,
Hmm.
and signals signals that I was out of
Hmm.
alignment,
Right.
or the world was out of alignment with me,
Yeah.
whichever the case may be.
Hmm.
And, like, especially if I think back on it, even with the line of work that I was doing, there was a lot of there were red flags, and there was me trying so hard to make it work, and
Yeah.
so hard to make it
I
the
I
right
feel
fit.
that.
I was like,
Uh-huh.
no, this is it. This is the thing. And there were just these signs and signals that I wasn't paying attention to. And
Right.
then 2025 rolls around, and at the beginning of eclipse season last year,
Hmm.
I went it started like March, and
Yeah.
from March to August, like, uh just the most unnerving, unraveling, dismantling, just piece by piece, layer by layer, big chunks of it,
Yeah.
like little bits here, little bits there. By the
Hmm.
time August rolled around, my
Yeah.
entire life looked different. I was Everything I was doing was different, and who I was doing it with was different, other than,
Yeah.
like, my husband. But
Hmm.
it was the year of the dragon was definitely the time to pay attention to the signs, and I didn't listen to
Hmm.
them. I didn't listen to them. So
No.
I had to listen to them eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's like, it's almost like, for whatever reason, we want so bad to make something work that just isn't in alignment with us. I don't know what that is about, like, the human condition to just want to go completely off the path of, why your soul's here and what you're meant to do
Yeah.
during your time here.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is, you know, we're born into a structure, into a system
Mhm.
that teaches us that no, your intuition's bad, no, especially to women, it's like, and to men too. I mean, because men get it too, don't get me wrong. But, like, especially as women, it's like we're taught to suppress everything. We're
Yeah.
taught to, that, that, following your intuition is bad, trying to, like, be in alignment with, like, who you are as, like, as a feminine being and all of that. No, that's bad. No, you have to do A, B, and C. You have to fit into
Mhm.
this box. And you know, and I think this is why, like, you walk around, people are so miserable, you know, and it's like, yeah, how's that working out for everybody? You know, just trying to force yourself into this box, you
Mm-hmm.
know, into this mold. It's like trying to fit square pegs into a round hole, you know, and you know, it's like,
Well, most
you know,
people
I
don't
think,
like to be wrong,
yeah,
right? Nobody
hmm,
really wants to be wrong.
right,
And if you make a decision and a plan and you start the plan and you get in, going on
hmm,
the plan, there can be resistance when you realize that it's not the right plan, because
right,
then you have to admit that you were wrong about your plan.
hmm,
That can be challenging. It's
yeah,
challenging for me. I didn't want to give it. I didn't want to give it up.
right,
Didn't want to give up my plan.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, no,
yeah,
this
no,
is it. This is my plan. This is what I'm doing. And then, but I was wrong.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, and sometimes like they'll, you know, the universe, God, angels, you know, spirit guides, after so long of trying to gently prod you in the right direction, they'll kick you in the butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
They
they'll,
will.
yeah,
But they will totally, they got your back, and
yeah, oh yeah,
they come back to help tremendously. So
oh yeah,
that in January 7th, because I told you I was
mhm,
looking for purposeful work.
yeah,
And I was like, I had been applying to, I mean, so many
yeah,
different jobs. And
hmm,
I'm not going to just take any old job.
right, yeah,
I want something that is fulfilling, and I want to do
hmm,
something that's part of a bigger mission
yeah,
and whatever. So I could have gotten a job, but I didn't want just a job. So
hmm,
I kept at it. And then I was like, I'm going to use some white magic. And
hmm,
I sent my husband a little video, but right here in my little spot here with my
yeah,
candles and my north, south, east, west
yeah,
representations and the whole thing. That was January 7th. This was a perfect job ritual. And
hmm,
January 11th, I found it.
yeah,
And it went perfect. And I had like 4 interviews and they
uh-huh,
all went fucking amazing. And it is so up my alley. It is the perfect job for me.
that's awesome.
So as much as my spirit guides get annoyed with me, they also know when I'm genuinely needing their
Yeah,
guidance and their help and their energy. And when I wholeheartedly, honestly, authentically ask for help,
yeah,
they come along and help
yeah,
me out. Huh? So,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
And you know, and sometimes it's like it's interesting because they're also, in addition to some of like the inner work I've done, like I'll be drawn to certain types of entertainment or media.
Uh-huh.
And I know this part might make some people scratch their head, but The Shining played
Yeah.
a huge, huge role in my shadow work, in my inner work, and then like the sequel, Doctor Sleep. In fact, I just watched Doctor Sleep the other day, and it's all like, you know, it like The Shine, it's one of my all-time favorite novels, and I enjoy, you know, obviously the Kubrick adaptation, and then there
Yeah.
was another one like made I think in the 90s and everything, and then, you know, and that one's pretty good too because it's closer to the book. And then Doctor Sleep is, you know, it's a good book, good film.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because in Doctor Sleep, Danny, like the little boy, he's grown up, and he ends up having to like face his past and face what
Mhm.
happened to him, by returning to the Overlook. And that really jarred something in me because I was like, okay, what's my Overlook?
Mhm.
You know, what was that moment that really just made me just kind of like push down like who I naturally was? And I do know what my Overlook is, and and oddly enough, I visited it at the age of 5, the same age that Danny Torrance was
Mm.
when he and his family had the whole ordeal at the Overlook. So there's synchronicities, wow, like right there. but it really, like, I mean, I like that, like, just like, like, just kind of opened up like a whole another level of, like, just me digging and inner work and just, bringing more stuff to the surface. And one thing I like about The Shining and Doctor Sleep is the fact that they do it, there is the message there to not suppress your gifts, to
Yeah.
not suppress whether that gift is spiritual, whether you're an artist, whether, and
Mm,
I think that that's a lesson that everybody can take with them, regardless of who you are, regardless of
yeah.
what your gifts and strengths were and everything. So I don't know, like, do you have like I mean, you don't have to share too many details, but do you have like an overlooked kind of in your past, or?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's different periods of my growing up that for sure changed. It's actually, here's really funny. My
Yeah,
husband and I were just talking about it this morning. Uh, I was in do you remember the GATE program? You ever
I've
hear of
heard of
that?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the gifted and talented, and right now it's kind of under some scrutiny because of the other stuff going on,
Right.
and how
Hmm.
in the 80s and the 90s there's some program to find kids who are good at solving puzzles or pattern
Right.
recognition or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Or who have extra abilities.
Yeah.
And so I was in that program in like the 5th grade.
Mhm.
And they have you drink this pink stuff, and after you drink it, you don't really remember things, like, and
Oh.
I didn't think of any of these things till as an adult. And so I'm watching this video
Mhm.
this morning, and I'm talking to my husband about it, and it hit me. You're talking about suppressing your gifts.
Yeah.
I got into that program, and it was brand new at my school, and there was only 6 kids that got accepted into it. And so
Mhm.
as a 5th grader, they put me and the other 5 fifth graders
Yeah.
into a 6th grade class. So we had our own little
Mm.
table
Uh-huh.
in a 6th graders class.
Yeah.
And the 5th graders, the ones with me, they didn't like me. The
Oh.
6th graders, they definitely didn't like me. They didn't want us in their class. So I had
Uh-huh.
one friend, and she was deaf, and that was like the one girl that I could
Mhm.
talk to because she was
Yeah.
deaf. Anyway, I had a terrible time.
Mhm.
Got lots and lots of bullying during those
Yeah.
couple of years. And I realized this morning that that moment in my life where I wasn't I was excelling, I was doing well, I was considered smart or
Mhm.
gifted or whatever, it led me to a very painful experience.
Yeah.
And so I decided, unconsciously, of course,
Mhm.
that if I do well, I'm going to have a terrible experience.
Right. Yeah.
So that followed me through junior high, high school, where I gave a minimalist effort. If I just show up, I'm going to get a B. All I have to
Right.
do is just show up. If I put effort into it, though, it's going to lead to discomfort and people not liking me and all that.
Right.
So I stopped trying.
Mhm.
And if I look back on the last 20 years, 25
Uh-huh.
years, 20, 30 years,
Yeah.
the last 30 years, I can see how I have totally suppressed my gifts, my abilities, whatever,
Mhm.
from that very moment.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
that very moment. And I'm like, damn, wish I
Yeah.
had a time machine. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. No, because I totally hear what you're saying, because, you know, I was kind of the same way, I was definitely, and especially like with like you know, with my music and just my
Mhm.
artistic stuff and all that. And it was really weird how, yeah, like if you excelled too much or if you did like too well,
Mhm.
yeah, you'd get bullied.
Yeah.
And, or if you like expressed yourself like by dressing a certain way or what, it's like you'd get bullied. And again, it goes back to being born into the system that they want to churn out this like specific product of person.
Homogenize humans.
Homogenized person. Yes. And
Yeah.
if you're somebody who goes off the beaten path a little bit of that, well, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then you need to, be on A, B, and C, medication to try to like suppress that and everything.
Yeah.
And, and it's just, and it's like, and yeah, I mean, sometimes in situations people need that, but, but a lot of the time it's like, when you're like diagnosed with like, and I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that, so I can't diagnose people, but to me it just seems like, all these like people and like these kids that they're saying, are whatever, like, you know ADHD or whatever. It's just like, well, maybe they're just a creative person.
Mm-hmm.
you know
And they
and
just see the world a little differently, and they
and they
interact
see the
with it a
world a
little
little
differently.
differently.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely that happens with artistic types, that happens with, people who are just naturally bright, like they absorb
Yeah.
information. And, but and like that's the thing, it's like you would think that, because it's such an oxymoron, because the world, like, because especially when we're in school, it's like, you got to produce excellence, but then when you do produce excellence, it's like, no, you can't do that. And
Yeah.
but what they want is for you to produce their type of excellence.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Well, as a kid, there your peers are kind of everything.
yeah.
And the average,
Mhm.
and so I definitely uh played myself down to be more average.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And to fit in,
Mhm.
and to be liked and to not be ostracized.
Mhm.
And that had a ripple out effect in lots of areas in my life where it was like,
Oh
all right,
yeah.
I'm not gonna put all my effort into this because
Mhm.
there's just the potential of it blowing up in my face, or not being outshining people
Mhm.
or something, and that was always a concern of mine. It's just standing
Right.
out that way,
Mhm.
because then you're weird.
Yeah.
Then you're weird. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm much more embracing of my weirdness now,
Oh gosh, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But if I
totally.
could have really just accepted it,
Mhm.
and went all in on
Yeah.
the weirdness or the gifts that I
Mhm.
have,
Yeah.
uh, I'm sure things would have looked, really, really different in my life. So anyway, that was this morning. We had that conversation, and I thought,
Mhm.
I wonder where else I am holding myself back. And like, I wonder where else
Right.
I've taken my foot off the gas as to not create a situation that would make me uncomfortable. And,
Yeah.
like, I wonder what would happen if I actually tried.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, because I think, the year of the snake definitely brought that to light, at least,
Mhm.
definitely for me in many ways. Because sometimes like you're walking around and you're like, yeah, I'm confident, I don't care what people think. But then it's like, then when you really start to dig and do the work on yourself, you're like, oh, wait. Yeah, I have been watering myself down in order to make people more comfortable.
Mhm.
And, and it's like, and it really, it's very humbling though, when you recognize just how much you've been doing that, because you think, oh yeah, I do my thing, but really no, it's like, really no, I wasn't. And Year of the Dragon was me kind of starting to recognize that,
Yeah.
and really just kind of come to, and just come to all of that, that recognition. And then, year of the snake was when I had to do like further digging on it, because it's like, well, okay, if I want to be aligned with what I came here to do,
Mm,
with why I'm here, with my purpose and my gifts, I kind of have to go back to my my overlook. I have to go
yeah.
back to that and like revisit that, and just tell that 5-year-old girl, hey, it's okay. you know it's okay to be weird. It's okay to, just want to like draw and color outside the lines. That's one thing I got yelled at for in kindergarten, was drawing and color, because I would draw like I would get really creative with like the worksheets that like the teacher would give us and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So I would get really creative and draw, and it was like, no, you're not supposed to you color in the lines, and it's just like suppressing creativity.
Oh, well, suppression is the name of the game as part of the system, right? So you've
Yeah.
got they needed to create a workforce. And so they
Hmm.
needed to create workers,
Yeah.
and they needed to be conditioned to be indoors working from 9 to 5
Yeah.
as early as possible.
Yeah.
And for years and years and years, so that was just how they would then go and live their life when they were done with school.
Yeah.
Uh, so it makes, I mean, they did a great job. They really accomplished their goal. But
Hmm.
in the interim, in order to keep a child from spreading its wings and being creative and fully expressing
Yeah.
their God-given gifts, they
Uh-huh.
have to be silenced or stifled or told to stay inside the lines and
Yeah.
to be quiet and to sit still. And the ones that didn't, they were the ones that would, that they didn't fit in. They weren't liked by teachers, and then they have that in their head going forward, that there's
Hmm.
something wrong with them, when
Yeah.
they're actually just being their innate, creative, energized, spiritual being.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go against your nature and
Hmm.
be quiet while you're at it.
Yeah. And then that never works out very well for
Yeah.
anyone. I mean, maybe like on the exterior, they might be able to get this like great job and like
Yeah.
get the house and everything, but I mean, I've read like a lot of reports, like most people today, it's like they're sick, they're in debt, they're
They're
and
not happy.
they're not happy.
Mm.
And and that's when I say, okay, yeah, how is that working out for everybody?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I mean, now we're in like the best time in history, I think, to really come to and really just become those amazing creative beings that we are.
Well,
And
that's the divine feminine, is
yeah,
creative, right?
yeah,
The feminine, and that's not just women, that is just the
right,
divine feminine. It is creative. That's the focus. It's creation.
yeah.
And I think we might be coming around a corner. I think
Mm-hmm.
one can hope. It feels
Yeah.
that way. It feels like there's a shift into uh, at least people becoming aware
Yes.
of how the patriarchal and
Mhm.
divine masculine getting inverted and turning into very toxic
Oh,
behaviors.
yes.
I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people, men and women, from
Mm-hmm.
all different walks of life, becoming aware of
Mm-hmm.
how, for thousands of years, gosh, it really hasn't bared the kind of fruit that
Right.
we would like to have. Maybe we should start shifting into more matriarchal, divine
Mm-hmm.
feminine, being at like the engine of
Mm-hmm.
this species.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
maybe. Because it's very creative. It's
Yeah.
very flowy. It's it's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's children focused,
Yeah.
it's nurturing. And it doesn't have to, it's not weak. I mean,
Right.
I've not met a weak woman. I'm
Right.
sorry. I haven't met a weak woman. I've maybe met an insecure woman,
Yeah.
but she can still bring a human life into this world with her own
Right.
body.
Hmm.
So the feminine matriarchal thing is not weak at all. It's very
Right.
strong. It's very
Yeah.
strong it's just strong in a different way. And I think perhaps um again, I mean, this coming out on Friday the 13th and
Hmm.
the 13th of the goddess and all of that you said at the beginning,
Yeah.
it's a good thing for people to think about. You
Yeah.
know, like you said about the systems and the schools and how's that
Hmm.
really working for you? Well, let's like zoom out, some layers beyond that of like the
Hmm.
bigger systems and go,
Right.
well, how's that working out for us?
Yeah.
As of late, not very well.
Not
Not
very
very well.
well. Mm-mm. Yeah, because look at everything that's going on,
Yeah.
that's
And
been going
it's
on,
a yeah,
and
it's a
it's just
product of it.
exactly, and it's just now all coming to the surface. But when we were talking earlier, it's like you were saying like known this stuff for like the past like 10 years, and I've been hip to it as well, but I don't think, not to be condescending, but, sometimes I don't know about you, but I, sometimes try to talk about it to other people and they would kind of get it, but then it's like they would also kind of tune you out or, call you conspiracy theorist and blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of like, but now it's like they're seeing, no,
Yeah. Yeah, that it's real,
it's
and
real.
it's not, we're running out of conspiracies because they keep coming
Mhm.
true.
Keep coming true. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and the thing is I've learned for me that makes, because I have known and have been exposed and been very aware of the darker,
Hmm.
shadowy side of how things really
Yeah.
work.
Hmm.
You kind of have to just meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
After the 2016 era here in
Mhm.
America with Trump and the whole thing, I learned something from
Mhm.
that period of time, and that I can't actually convince anybody of anything.
Right.
I can't.
Right.
And I can also be wrong.
Mhm.
So those two things, the humility that comes with knowing that I can't convince anybody of anything
Right.
and that I could also be wrong,
Yeah.
that shapes you as well. So when all this
Mhm.
comes out, it's like, I get it. If somebody's never heard of any of this stuff before and it's
Mhm.
new to them, and they
Right.
have to admit that they've been wrong about a big portion of this,
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable. And so
Mhm.
having compassion for people while they're becoming aware of
Mhm.
this level of depravity and this
Yeah.
level of darkness,
Mhm.
it's a lot. It's a
It
lot
is.
for a person's nervous system. It's a lot for a person's consciousness, and it can be very overwhelming. And it can just feel, it can be totally unnerving because you're just like, everything I thought I knew is
Right.
now in question. And that's where I was 10 years ago. I was like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's taken time to just live happily in spite of knowing that none of it's real. And
Right.
that's the practice, is how do you manage to save your humanity? How do
Yeah.
you manage to express your humanity and your spiritual nature
Yeah.
out of knowing all of that stuff? Because
All
life
that.
is going to carry on.
Mhm.
Your family, your friends, your own personal relationship with yourself, that is going
Mhm.
to carry on forward anyway.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you carry on
Right.
when it feels like, well, this sucks and it's terrible and it's dark and it's sad and it's depressing? It it really starts with, and this sounds corny, and I'm not saying that to be that way. It's just,
Mhm.
it starts with compassion
Right.
and understanding that not everybody shares your worldview, and not
Yeah.
everybody has, like, everyone has their own model of the world and how they see themselves in it.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. I do think this is the best time to be alive. I
Mhm.
actually wholeheartedly believe that everything always works out.
Yeah.
It's a motto of mine. Everything always works out because it does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It
Yeah,
always does.
absolutely.
It always has.
Absolutely.
So it
Yeah.
always will. Now, we're going to have years of the snake and we're going to shed, and there's going to be
Oh, yeah.
super fucked up things that happen. Like, there's going to be bad,
Yeah.
but that is life. But everything ultimately always works out the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that, yeah, with all the gross, disgusting stuff that's like coming out and happening, I do see like a return to balance.
Mm,
And I think the year of the Firehorse is going to be like like that kind of pivotal year
yeah.
where people are going to kind of be forced to look at what is. And I think now is a good time to start, like, if you haven't started doing any inner work yet, now's the time to do it and really figure out who you
Yeah.
are at your core. Because let's say all the structures fall, all the political structures, the religious structures, all of, I mean, I'm even kind of over like the stupid generation, like, labels like, oh, millennial
Yeah.
or I'm even over those because I think that they're very divisive and
Yeah.
all they do is cause people to argue with each other. And I know some people will try to justify it as, oh, well, it's just a study on different, but you know what? Everybody's an individual.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
everybody's an individual.
You can't lump people into just one group. And
Right.
because each person has so many different facets, I totally agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that getting to know yourself thing is more important now than ever. The
Right.
relationship that you have with yourself, your
Yes.
nervous system, your subconscious, your higher self, like that connection that you
Hmm.
have needs to be solid.
Right.
Because when everything around you is coming apart at the
Hmm.
seams, if you're not solid in alignment with
Right.
you and you and you and you,
Yeah.
you're going to come apart at the seams with everything else. So
Yeah.
to be steadfast, to be steady, to be balanced, to be solid footing,
Hmm.
to weather
Yeah.
what happens, because it's going to get weird.
It
It's
is.
gonna
It's
it's
going to
gonna
get
get
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
And you're either going to add to the weirdness
Hmm.
or you're going to be a lighthouse,
Yeah.
on the mountain or the
Hmm.
cliff, I don't
Yeah.
think they have lighthouses on mountains. But you're gonna be a lighthouse on the cliff for the other ships lost at sea.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
either floating out there, fucking being thrown by waves, or you're a beacon of
Yeah.
safety. That's
Yeah.
it. Those are the
Hmm.
two paths.
Yeah. Exactly.
I choose to be the beacon
Me
to
too.
let people know that
Yeah.
everything always works out. It's okay.
Hmm.
There's dry land over here.
Yeah.
Ahoy. You know?
Hmm. Oh,
But
yeah.
that inner work is step one.
Yes. Yeah,
Step one.
absolutely.
Even
And
when it sucks.
it does. It sucks at times, but you know what? But then it's like when you come out on the other side
Mhm.
of just letting your rage out, just letting it go and purging, and it's really cathartic.
Yeah.
And and I know, like, I think that all that suppressed rage is why so many women become, like, as they call, Karens.
Yeah.
It's those years of suppressed rage. And and that's and again, like, this is why it's almost like that structure doesn't really help anyone, like telling you to suppress yourself and to suppress. I mean, that's why, I mean, I've heard several, like, people say that, especially like in the holistic health circles, but even in some Western medicine, kind of admits that suppressing all of that inside is why so many women especially are diagnosed with, like, autoimmune disease,
Yeah.
cancer skyrocketing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a big, because your body can only hold so much before
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, I gotta let something go, and it manifests itself into something that's not good. And even if you don't get a physical ailment, you know, you're you're still like walking around like all like
Yeah.
tight and just, and again,
Well,
like,
if you keep blowing air into a balloon
yeah.
and it stretches, it's got a lot of the room, right?
Hmm.
But at some point it pops.
Right.
Right? So if you keep pouring or feeling anger and sadness and
Hmm.
fear and guilt and shame
Yeah.
and these like over a period of time and there's no release, that
Hmm.
balloon inside you just gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it pops.
Yeah.
And that mixed with the food and
Right.
air and water and soil,
Hmm.
like mixed with our environment.
Yeah.
uh, it's a it's a prime breeding ground for dis-ease
Yeah.
inside the body. And
Yeah.
you know so,
Dis-ease, yeah. That's
dis-ease.
the root of that's what the word disease is. It's dis-ease,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And those negative emotions are very 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 toxic for the
Hmm.
body.
Yeah.
They do actually cause a lot of illnesses.
Hmm.
And I was saying that I took December off and I
Yeah.
mean, I went inward and I was very stressed. I had anxiety, I had
Hmm.
sadness, I had guilt, I had all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. All the was coming out.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been that stressed and
Yeah.
I've never experienced depression in my life, but
Uh-huh.
I think that's what it was also. So it was a lot of negative emotions. I needed to feel them all, but I felt like I was feeling all of them at once for like an
Yeah.
extended period of time. Right as I came out of that and started like the clouds parting and like the sun started coming out in my life again,
Hmm.
I got a cold. As
Hmm.
soon as I came out of that, and I have not had any kind of illness
Yeah.
since 2021.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I know exactly if I experience unwellness, I
Right.
know it's emotional.
Yeah.
For me, it's emotional because I have COVID and I'm around people and sick people when they're sick, and I never get it.
Right.
But this time I did because I processed a lot of emotion and my immune system was down. And um, people can believe me or not, but
Yeah.
your immune system is stronger
Yeah.
when you're emotionally regulated.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree because like I've experienced the same thing,
Yeah,
because I really don't get sick, but let me tell you, when I'm like purging something out, that's when okay, yeah, I'm starting to feel like I'm coming down with something, and
yeah,
then you know, go to sleep, go take a nap, just kind of sleep it off. And yeah, and then I usually like, I'll feel better after that. But no, but I totally hear what you're saying.
well,
And
it's crazy to think for us to think that these things aren't connected. Why wouldn't they be connected?
right.
Of course they are.
Yeah. Oh, of
Of
course,
course they are.
yeah.
Right? And it's the like all of our systems work together.
Mhm.
Our emotions and our immune, like why wouldn't they be tied together,
Right.
connected, feeding off of one another?
Yeah, the mind body soul connection right
Yeah.
there, you know.
Because when your immune system is down and you're feeling sick, it absolutely affects your emotions.
Right.
So why wouldn't the other way be true also? Of course they would.
Mhm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Makes sense to me. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the 2026 with the year of the Firehorse is I can already feel it. I can feel the
Oh,
momentum building,
yeah.
like a horse that's in a like a stable and it's like
Yes.
it wants
I
to come
feel
out,
that
it's ready.
too. Yeah.
I can feel 2026 is in the stable and it's like chomping at the
Yeah.
ground.
It's like,
And
let me out,
it wants to be let out.
It's
But like you
ready.
said, if you got a horse and you've got a bunch of saddlebags on it full of crap you just don't need on your journey,
Mhm.
you don't want to weigh this horse down because it's
Right.
got a lot of potential. It's got a
Yeah.
lot of power. It's a purebred, like ready to fucking take over the world. We
Yeah.
don't want to weigh it down.
Right.
So it's definitely everyone has another week or so, about 8 days from now,
Yeah.
to check your saddlebags.
Yeah,
Dig
exactly.
through there, see what else is in there, and be honest with yourself. Be
Yeah,
brave to go, I just don't need this thing. I just
exactly.
don't. I just
Hmm.
don't. I want to make this journey for this next year as light and as powerful as possible. So let me
Yeah,
just get rid of these last the yard sale, get rid of the rest of this
yeah.
shit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think now is a time to really start to think about, if you haven't yet, who are you at your core, because like I said earlier, you know, if all let's say, like this is going to be the year that all of that structure crumbles and we may have to start from scratch, I mean, because people, I mean, and it's not just like, political, religion, whatever. I mean, people are getting influencer fatigue. People are getting like Hollywood celebrity fatigue. I
Yep.
mean, people are, I think people are
It's
ready
just not
for a
working.
change. Yeah, it's not working. And I think it's like,
It's not pacifying us anymore.
right, yeah. And I think
Really.
that really it's like, one question people I think should be asking themselves now, it's like, okay, if everything I've identified as that has shaped all the external stuff that has shaped my identity, whether it be like a religion I identify with, or a political group I identify with, or this, that, or the other, or my job that I identify with, if
Yeah.
that all went away tomorrow, who am I at my core? And I think the sad thing is most people would not be able to answer that question,
Yeah.
you know?
And the people that can't answer that question, unfortunately, are going to get swept away with the chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's going to be too much to fathom, wrap your head around when all of
Mhm.
that is changing and crumbling and shifting and evolving into something else.
Yeah.
You this whole inner world thing needs to be at a place where you can
Mhm.
watch it without taking it personally, or without it
Yeah.
um derailing you. But if you're unsure of who you are,
Right.
you're gonna get swept up in it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
need to be able to you need to be able to take Instagram off your phone or TikTok off your phone. You need to have the strength to
Mhm.
do that. You
Right.
need to turn the TV off. You need to be able to set boundaries with family. Like you have
Mhm.
to be able to say no
Yeah.
to things.
Yeah.
Because everything is wants your attention right now.
Oh, of
Everything,
course. Yeah.
because this old system,
Mhm.
since it's dying,
Yeah.
it's gonna it's not gonna go quietly. It's not gonna
Right.
be like, well, I guess I'm done here. No, it is going to kick and scream on its
Yeah.
way out. So it's
Mhm.
gonna be loud, it's gonna be in your face, and it's gonna be enticing. They
Yes.
are gonna double down
Yeah.
on your attention
Oh,
and
yeah.
your awareness and your money and your energy. And so that's like what you were saying, is really
Mhm.
ask yourself who you are so that you are not swayed
Right.
by their efforts, because they are going to ramp them up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They
And
don't want to go anywhere. They like the way it is.
yeah, and I mean, and as far, I mean, and I do see things kind of returning to a balance, and I think because I was thinking about this the other day too, about how you know about how like even though like yeah, there are obviously some toxic things about the MySpace days, but those days I think had like that good real life to online life balance, because people would they would, have their real life outside, they would still be, interacting with each other. And then, sometimes, yeah, they'd log into MySpace or whatever to see like what their, friend on the other side of the world was up to, or what their favorite artist was up to. And the thing I will say that has been good about social media is, and David Fairhead and I were talking about this on his podcast, about the one good thing about it is that it took away the middleman as far as like independent artists being able
Yeah.
to get themselves out there and find their people, find the people that
Mhm.
enjoy their work, instead of like,
Yeah,
it kind of took the gatekeepers out of that.
definitely.
And I think in that sense, it did a really good thing. And it also did a good thing in, bringing, corruption and things to light,
Yeah.
because I see every so often like people like saying, oh, I want to go back to the 70s or the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s. And I'm like, do you really?
Yeah.
I mean, be careful what you wish for, because
Yeah.
in those days, all of the stuff that were like that's coming to the surface now, that everybody is, now like they're having to see it and everything, that was all going on
Well, the
underground during
ignorance
those
was
times,
bliss.
and there was no way of really exposing it,
No.
you know.
Ignorance was bliss. We were blissful
Mhm.
in our ignorance,
Yeah.
and that can be a very comfortable place. So we have this
Mhm.
nostalgia for a time where
Right.
we were ignorant
Yeah.
before the truth of the world woke us up out of our happy little slumber. So
Yeah.
now we're cold and awake, going, what the
Mhm.
fuck, you know? And I get that. Uh,
Mhm.
but I don't want to live a lie, and I don't want to live in a
Right.
world that's built on lies and
Right.
deception and all of that, and coercion and manipulation. And
Right.
I agree with you. You know, the internet and social media and things like that have given a level of transparency to
Mhm.
your average person that
Yeah.
wouldn't have had it before, and access to information. It's
Mhm.
just, what do we do with the information? Because if
Right.
you can look up anything, you can find out
Mhm.
anything about anything,
Yeah.
that means that you have to have discernment. You
Right.
have to be able to have access to everything and not internalize everything.
Yes. Yeah. I
And that
agree.
takes practice. So they did protect us
Yeah.
from a lot of the crap,
Oh, yeah.
because it would have been a lot for us. But I don't think collectively our consciousness was ready for any of that, even in the
Yeah.
2000s. I
Yeah.
was. I,
Yeah.
I, I'll speak for myself.
Mhm.
I wasn't ready for that. So I don't think collectively we were ready for the truth. But
Right.
we are in the age of Aquarius. And the age
Yes.
of Aquarius is all about exactly what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah, absolutely.
I say
And
bring it on, you know? Bring it
yeah.
on.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as like, times past, like the
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, like I can understand, hey, yeah, there are certain aspects of those times that
Yeah.
actually were really good,
They
and
were.
yeah, maybe we do want to bring back. But as far as, oh, go back to a time when there was no internet, and it's like, no, but that was a time of ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
That was the age of Pisces, where it was like more of like an age of, I mean, conformity and everything, and
Yeah.
listening to power and all that stuff. Like, no, we don't want that.
Idolization, we idolize other human beings. That's one way we've gone wrong, you
Yeah.
know? We because humans they're just human.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
idolizing anybody and putting any one person on a pedestal who can do
Hmm.
no wrong. Well, shit, we've seen how that works out for
Oh
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So what advice would you have for people like who might just be coming to recognize
Hmm.
all of this, and they may not know where to start, like in their journey back to self and knowing who they are, like minus all of this external garbage.
Yeah, for someone who's brand new to getting to know themselves, one of the things I did early on is and I say a meditation practice, but it's not that it's a meditation, it's just meditative,
Yeah.
but sitting, no
Mhm.
distractions,
Yeah.
quiet, and start with like a real easy question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Do I like dogs or
Mhm.
cats? Or, like, just ask yourself a really basic question
Yeah.
and see where the answer comes from. Does the answer come from here to here? Or if you sit with it long enough, do you start to get an answer or a
Right.
sensation or a knowing from some other place in the body, maybe your heart, maybe your stomach? And then you can start asking yourself more difficult questions once you get into the mechanism of the question, and then listening and waiting for the answer and
Yeah.
seeing where your body tells you your truth. Because your
Right.
body talks to you all day long. It's like,
Oh,
hey, pay attention. Hey, pay attention. The check engine light comes on over there. The check the gas light comes on over there. Like, your body's always trying to get your attention.
yeah.
Very little do most people ever sit with it and listen and have a conversation with it. But I say just
Right.
sit, distraction free, no noises. Ask yourself a very set of easy questions, things that are
Mhm.
pretty easy to answer. And
Yeah.
then once you know where your body speaks to you from,
Right.
ask harder questions, deeper
Mhm.
questions. You
Yeah.
know, who, what do what do I like?
Mhm.
Who am I if I let go of that trauma that
Yeah.
I went through then? You can start asking yourself more difficult questions, but it's a muscle of getting to know
Mhm.
yourself. And I could recommend, you could go to a hypnotherapist, you could get a coach, you could get a therapist, but still that is going outside of yourself for answers.
Mhm.
Maybe if you're brand new and it seems like too bit much of an undertaking, and it would be helpful to have someone help you. But
Yeah.
I say the sooner you get used to relying upon yourself,
Mhm.
asking yourself questions,
Yeah.
listening to your own intuition, developing discernment within
Mhm.
yourself, that relation, that's where it starts. That's where it starts. And I still do that practice.
Mhm.
Especially if I have a question that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
Should I do this or should I do that?
Mhm.
I ask myself that question and I wait. I
Yeah.
wait and see what I say to me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like asking yourself just the most basic stuff, like, okay, coffee or tea,
Yeah.
dog or cat, like,
Yeah.
and just really spend time getting to know yourself like you would like
Yeah.
a new friend or something.
And be willing to change your mind if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what are your plans for the Firehorse year?
Oh, well, so I start this new gig on the 23rd of this
Woo.
month. So it's just right on time.
Yeah.
Right on time. I'll have another competition coming up in a couple of months.
Oh, beautiful. Love it.
Yeah. And yeah, this is it, some of the things that I also had to shed last year were some like habits, like some bad habits. Like I read this really awesome book about um how to stop eating bad sugar. So I'm
Okay.
like a week and a half off of like not eating bad sugar, like
Right.
processed sugar.
Yeah.
Um, things like that. Just, at this point, because I've done a lot of the inner work, it's like tweaking, and there's these, last
Yep.
little things to work on. But I think that this year is really about stepping into what I mentioned before, actually putting my foot on the gas and
Yeah.
like putting my best effort into my endeavors
Uh-huh.
and allowing myself to not just shine, but maybe even outshine
Mhm.
with humility,
Yes.
but outshine.
Yes. Mhm.
And I hid from that for so long, outshining other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's one thing that I made the decision for, like, especially this coming Fire Horse year, after doing, all the inner work, and with the help of The Shining and Stephen King, but it was but yeah, but that's one thing that I was just like, yeah, you know what? I refuse to water myself down for anyone ever
Yeah.
again, because it's not, and I say this with compassion, but it's not my responsibility to water myself down so
Yeah.
that somebody else can feel better about themselves, because that's also their responsibility to go
Yeah.
within themselves and discover what their gifts are.
Yes.
And, and that's the thing, and everybody has gifts. So there's really no reason to be jealous of anyone,
Yep.
at the end of the day.
Yep.
And that's one thing that, if I ever felt like, okay, a twinge of jealousy coming up towards someone, I would be like, okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, where's this coming from?
Yeah.
Where maybe do I feel like I'm lacking? And then
Yep.
I would, just kind of go in and just really sit with that. I would allow it, I would allow myself to feel it, because you don't want to suppress it, but I would feel it with purpose. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to allow myself to feel this, but what is it revealing to me? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's another thing too. It's important to allow yourself to feel the emotions, but in definitely in some of these cases, it's important to feel them with purpose and to really use it as an opportunity, like, okay, yeah, why do I feel resentful toward that person? They haven't done anything to me.
Yeah.
Where's this coming from? So, and I think that that's another thing, for people to be mindful of. But yeah, I'm in that place where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not settling. I'm not watering myself down for anyone. And I loved the one post that you made where you said, I don't settle with my body. I don't settle with my man. I don't settle with, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, not settling. And
No,
I
that's
love
what this
that.
year is about. This is the year where we are not settling. We're not settling for,
Exactly.
but first we have to understand what our own personal standards are so we
Yes,
know if we're settling or not. So if we
exactly.
don't determine that beforehand, you may like inadvertently end up settling because you
Yeah,
don't know what your standards are.
exactly.
So you have to start with the getting to know you. What do I
Hmm.
need? What do I expect? And go from there. And that, okay, here's the bar.
Right.
We're either there or above it, but we're not going below it. But you have to know you have to be able to measure it.
Yes.
And you
Hmm.
can only measure it with information. And you get that information by having that, conversation with you.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, because that's, it's when you get to know yourself, that's when you know what your standards are. That's when you know what your boundaries are, like what your values are,
Yeah.
and how are you going to set, whatever you decide your boundaries are, because everybody's going to be different.
Yeah.
Um, how do you set those boundaries, and I think that that's, an important, also an important thing to know and understand. It's like, when you get to know yourself, you really get to know things like, okay, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I really don't want to tolerate that. Oh,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, but it's like, but you want to, like come from a place of knowing who you are and being grounded in that, and
Hmm.
not just people pleasing,
Yes.
So,
That people pleasing is part of the settling, and we are
yeah,
not doing that either. No
we're
more.
not doing that, not anymore.
No más.
Yes, we're gonna be wearing my Paris Hilton icon shirt. We're gonna be icons
Awesome.
this year.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah,
Shoot.
did you see that documentary
I
yet?
haven't I haven't seen it yet, but
Oh, yeah. I
she's
saw
awesome.
it the other day, and it's and it was yet another documentary about, her journey back to self through music and
Yep,
everything. And it
yep.
was
I saw the trailer for it. It looks really I'll have to check it out.
yeah, yeah,
I
I
love me a
recommend
good
seeing
documentary.
it.
Okay,
So
I'll watch it then.
absolutely. So, all right. Well, oh my God, we actually went over an hour, but that's okay
That
because
is okay. It was
hey,
a good
it was
we were flowing. We were in
exactly
our feminine groove.
in our yes, yes, absolutely. So, yeah, but I know you said you're taking a little break from social media, but like
Yeah.
once you come back on, like where can
Yep.
people find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because of everything going on, it's like I have so protective of my nervous system,
Yeah.
and I get to decide what I consume. Nobody's got a like gun to my head saying watch these horrible reels on your
Mhm.
phone. No. It's me.
Yeah.
So I to protect myself, I am, yeah, stepping away from it. But when I at any point anybody wants to find me on social media, it's Susannah Sidequests. So on Instagram and on TikTok, but I haven't re-downloaded TikTok. I'm having a feeling about TikTok right now, but it's Susannah Unleashed on TikTok. But I'm also on Facebook. I tend to keep my Facebook on my phone. It's not something I'm really drawn to scrolling.
Yeah.
Not as it's not as exciting, I guess is the
Right.
whatever. So, but if anybody ever wants to, sometimes people reach out to me on like DM me on Messenger, and I interact with people all the time.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions about what we talked about here on this
Yeah.
episode or anything else from any of my posts, I'm super open to having, respectful and like mature conversations with people if they, especially if they just want some insight or have a question or whatever. You can definitely hit me up on Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
I will I will chat with you.
Cool. And did you say you were getting a website together for your life coaching and all that stuff?
Yes,
Or
yes. But that kind of came at the time where everything was, I was like, pump the
yeah.
brakes. So I'm still working on it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Maybe by the
Well,
time this comes out. Well, no, that's only a week. Yeah.
yay.
Soon.
All right. Cool. Well, it was really awesome like talking to you again,
Thank
and
you
like
for having
I
me again.
love how this conversation flowed, and like we'll definitely
Yeah.
have to have you back on when we're into the year of the Firehorse a little bit more and
Yes,
everything. And
yes.
yeah, cool. Yeah,
Well,
I'd hope to work
thank
with
you
you on
for
a
getting.
project again.
I
So
know, I know. We need to get that going. I would love to. So
absolutely.
we'll have
So
to bug
well, I
Travis.
am producing my new web series, which is also going to premiere Friday the
Oh, cool.
13th. So
Awesome.
yeah, so
Congratulations.
maybe we can work something out there. So
That
all
would be
right.
cool. Well, you let
Yeah.
me know. But thank you for having me here tonight, and
Yeah.
thank you to your listeners. And I'll see you soon.
Yes, see you soon. And thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe out there, but also stay fierce and stay
Yeah.
spooky. But stay fierce especially. So, all
Yeah.
right, bye everyone.